You are witnessing history right now. This is the breaking of the ground on the very first Marvel Mingle Podcast, where, very similar to something you may have seen on my channel as recent as a year back, we talk all things going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My name is Will, of course, and joining me once again, as he's joined me in several other Marvel Mingles, is
the one
Mr. Ty Baganski himself. He's a certified college student, just like me, and he knows a little bit about Marvel.
He's just like me, for real.
He also happens to be one of my close friends, so like I did for a lot of videos in the past, I drug him onto this podcast. I said, I gotta have a special guest, okay, and we might not see this in every single week, but you never know. But the main thing here is that I've been wanting to. You can ask Tyler. I've been wanting to do a Marvel podcast for a while now, and I loved doing the Marvel Mingle series because that was just something where like I could talk news, and I talk people's ears off about Marvel and specifically the MCU.
Specifically my ear, if we're honest here, but who's really counting, Will?
Sometimes he engages in the conversation himself.
Sometimes.
And if we're both in town, I take him to, we
do the events. We love the movies.
Showing. Yes.
We're here as fans just as much as we are here to give the news.
Well, you know me. I haven't missed an opening night of a Marvel movie since Age of Ultron.
Impressive, honestly.
So I basically talk people's ears off about the MCU, and I really missed doing my Marvel Mingle series. I thought, what's a good way to bring it back? I can't just bring it back because I found myself limited if I was making, at least 10-minute length videos on just reporting
clips.
On here's this. On a dry week, in MCU news, it's,
there's not really much to discuss when there's nothing going on.
I'm releasing a 5-minute video, and that's just not something I wanted to do anymore. So I thought, let me just talk about it for an extended period of time in a podcast format. I will say I've gotten a lot more into listening to podcasts, and that's part of also why I wanted to do this for a while. So we are here now. We're finally able to talk MCU news.
Really, dude? Sorry, man. It's really bothering me. Anyway, we're here to talk some MCU news and really get the ball rolling.
Microphone totally picked that up. You suck.
All right.
We actually don't know how this is going to work, so this is a crash course video. And what I want to do is have something to bring onto the show every week. I want this to be a weekly series, and the Marvel Mingle was always intended to be a weekly series, but it didn't always end up being that way. So
Will tends to have a little bit of time commitment issues.
Well, I also I'm taking co-host applications.
He is. He really needs co-host applications. I'm not reliable, as I will also be headed back to college. But I'm honored to be joining the first week, and I'm really excited to be here.
Yes. I had to kick it off with Tyler. We are back here. We are about 2 weeks after, 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know, after San Diego Comic-Con. So I was trying to get the first podcast out in the wake of San Diego Comic-Con. And now that's kind of all, the dust has settled a little bit since then. But I'm still freaking out about Daredevil. I'm still thinking about, Kang Dynasty and the Secret Wars and all that. But what I want to be able to do on this podcast is revisit every single week with questions from you guys from the last week. So this is all going to be a new experience for me. I don't even know how the editing process is going to work.
It's even newer for me.
As I am filming this right now and recording this, I plan to have this on podcasting platforms. And I'm just looking forward to kind of learning as we go here.
We're happy to be here. We're happy to see what's going on. We're happy to talk with you guys, discuss things, take into account what you guys really want to hear about. And, I mean, as fans, him and I want to discuss it just as much as you guys. So we'd love to hear your input and your thoughts in any way, shape, or form you send them in.
It fuels every episode, we have something to talk about, which is, it's pretty important.
Speaking of, what are we talking about today?
Well,
I think it's time to really kick it off,
Well, yeah, I figured we would give a nice little lax intro, though, for this one, kind of explain the conception of this very thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we are going to, I guess, talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all of its glory. This week is not too big of a week for MCU news, but the biggest standout this week seems to be the latest She-Hulk featurette. It was a 30-minute TV spot type deal.
30
I was
second.
at work.
30 second.
Did I say 30 minutes again?
You said 30 minutes again. I don't know what's up with you and that. Bro's feeding for some Daredevil content. He's like, oh my god.
You know I've been feeding for Daredevil content since the moment he
Can't blame him,
showed
honestly.
up in Spider-Man No Way Home, which I like a lot of people who read into MCU news perhaps too much. I kind of knew it was going to happen. And if it weren't for a certain somebody putting those photos out, I listen to your show all the time, John Campia. It's okay. I still love you.
Thank you, John Campia.
We pretty much knew that he was going to be in that movie about a week or two prior. So that was one way to do it. But since then, it has been pretty apparent because a few days later, Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal of Fisk.
The Kingpin. Vanessa.
Mr. Fisk himself showed up in Hawkeye. So within 2 or 3 days of each other, these two very prominent,
Two very iconic
Marvel
fan
comic book characters, not just any, but the same portrayals, the same actors, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, rose from the Netflix graveyard and finally hopped into the MCU. And since then, it has been fueling, so much back and forth speculation. You will get tons of people who say, God, this isn't canon. This is a different universe. This is a variant. And then some people, not saying this is myself, but
He's not
some
saying
people
that,
will go to great lengths to say, no, this should be canon. This should be canon, and there's really no reason why it shouldn't be. I'm one of those people that
I would say, why do you put it like that? What do you think so?
I will defend the Marvel Netflix universe with my life. But what I'm getting at is, ever since they hopped onto the screen, there's just been so much speculation on when's Daredevil going to show up next, when's Kingpin going to show up next. You put these two very prominent actors after the abrupt cancellation in 2018 of Daredevil, and then eventually the rest of the Netflix Marvel universe. You get that news, and you wonder, well, all this wasted talent, is it ever going to make its way into the mainstream MCU? The MCU is ever expanding. They're going to have to visit Daredevil. Kevin Feige's going to have to use Daredevil. And
It was
we finally
only
saw
inevitable.
he listened to the fans. He listened to specifically a very a campaign that's very near and dear to my heart, the Save Daredevil campaign, which is now the saved Daredevil
He's
campaign.
back, baby.
Which I'm really excited
Born
for.
again, if you will.
Yes, we have them to thank for that. And we got the news from SDCC that Daredevil Born Again is coming soon. But anyway, what we're getting at here is that the She-Hulk featurette, the latest one released this past Saturday. I was at work sitting in a trailer selling people pretzels and sodas and waters.
And I was in a mansion with a bunch of my cousins.
Yes, he was out of town. But
Little family vacation. It was a great time.
But nonetheless, our favorite, Matt Murdock himself, the Daredevil, showed up. Not only in the yellow and red suit that we kind of figured out with the color grading, people kind of lit up those. They kind of edited the few seconds that we got of the Daredevil hopping in from the SDCC trailer. We saw that.
And I mean, what a show stealer, if we're honest.
Well, yeah. I was sitting there in my backyard and I'm watching this and I'm like, no way they did it. No way they teased it. And it makes sense considering they announced Born Again that same day. But anyway, this is the first time we actually get to see Daredevil in costume, in action. and it was just a probably not even a second long still shot. I'm gonna pull this up again because it looks really good. Matt Murdock himself, and we can see that he does have the classic yellow and red outfit that he began with, but it is like the same exact design as the Netflix counterpart. It literally looks like the Defenders or Daredevil Season 2 suit got a paint job.
Yeah, it literally just looks like it's painted over.
I am so happy that they stuck with this. It literally looks like they said they went over to Netflix and said, "Can I borrow this suit really quick? We're gonna
check it out. Give it a few decals, a few
Kevin Feige knocks on the door, and Netflix is probably like, right. But
take our money.
There's so much we don't know, and it's really interesting to me that he's coming back in the exact same threads as he did in this, because once Kingpin showed up in a Hawaiian shirt and this big old fedora, a lot of people were like, "Wow, this is a drastically different Kingpin than
it's
we
not
know and love."
The Kingpin we remember.
And so that's another big reason of why people go to the argument of, well, this has to be a variant. Netflix Kingpin would ever show up in an outfit like that. Maybe he wouldn't, but
maybe
it seems as though Kingpin had a lot of building back up to do while he was blipped. Last time we saw him, he was taken into custody because Daredevil beat the shit out of him.
Epic.
Now, I don't know if they're going to reference
any of that.
The Netflix show. I really hope so. I'm a big proponent of keep the Netflix series canon. But it seems like, whether or not that's true, they're going to pick the better, more impactful parts of it, perhaps without making it too complicated. They're not going to make it so
too
that
hard to follow.
You have to watch the other shows, I don't think. But I would like to be proven wrong. I would like to, if they directly reference something from the show, I'd be like, this is amazing. Because I'll argue this. You already have the basis of, you recognize this Daredevil. This is the same actor, same suit, new paint job. It's almost like they want you to think this is him, right?
Well, you know what I think they could do?
In the scope of the actual Marvel Studios under that name now.
Yeah, I think what's really is going to happen, I think it's going to be like a No Way Home situation in which where, like, they enter in these very familiar and, like, similar faces with, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, but it's not like they directly referenced or pointed out anything that was in those movies.
They
like,
did,
you didn't, but you didn't have, there were Easter eggs and there were a lot of things that was fun to play with at the audience, but it wasn't required that you watched all 3 of the Spider-Man films, all 2 of the Amazing Spider-Man, and anything else, all of Daredevil, just to get in with these characters. But there are definitely good jabs and, like, certain things like that I think they're going to do with the new Daredevil series. Not will they directly, like, call back to it, but I think it would definitely be, like, cute little references. Like, he's, like, trying to do better, things like that. Like, now, again, I could be proven wrong, but I can only see it playing out in that certain way just so that it can, once again, familiarize the audience with the familiar face and the already told story, but not have to have you go back and relive that entire tale.
I completely agree. I think that's the way to go. I think it's just easier. It's more digestible. They're not.
And it's a lot better for newer viewers.
Right. And then you think about the title Born Again. Well, obviously that's the very famous comic storyline, but they did many aspects of the Born Again arc in Daredevil Season 3. So it's a question of, are they going to actually adapt the storyline, or are they just using this
once again, like a Spider-Man Homecoming situation.
Right, but they had aspects of the Homecoming storyline. But one thing that's interesting to me is, I mean, you have so much to work with. You have a lot of other corners of the Daredevil lore to explore. But more importantly, one of the big differences that we're going to see this time around is he is allowed to play around in this MCU playground. This playground that is the, what is it now? 14 years long MCU that keeps getting expanded upon. He gets to play with his playground now. In Netflix, you couldn't just, walk down the street and, say hi to Peter Parker. But
couldn't go to the Sanctorum, like...
Right, and that's what we've seen. That's the whole thing. Is that
that's what we're used to
in the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movies? He never got to interact with other heroes. That's the fun of being in this shared universe. That's the whole point. Is Spider-Man can walk down the street and knock on Doctor Strange's door, and have fun with that.
Or he doesn't have to.
Right, and I think going back to She-Hulk, that's a lot of fun that we're gonna have with this show. Is that they're already like making jokes about the cameos, like that featurette. I don't know if you saw, there was a featurette where they actually like showed clips of them sitting down and interviewing like Mark Ruffalo and Tatiana Maslany and all of them, and they were like talking about just the campiness of it and the fun of it, and that like we've seen a few of the fourth wall break
little clips,
tidbits.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that she's the first to do it besides Deadpool. But at the same time, I'm not disappointed in it. I kind of like how they're playing it.
Well, that's the thing, is you think about this, is they used fourth wall breaks with She-Hulk a few years before they introduced fourth wall breaks from Deadpool in the comics. So, to me, that's, I mean, why wouldn't you, right?
Right.
And
I'm hoping if they do something like this, have you ever seen the show Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yes.
You saw it on Disney XD? I think they're gonna do something.
Not all of it, but
no, but like where like Spider-Man would kind of like it like fade black and white, and like he'd talk to the camera and do something like that. Like, I really like that aspect of Ultimate Spider-Man, just because like it didn't add much to the story, but like you could like look at him and like pause the frame and be like da 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 da. He like in his little quips or something, and then it kind of do that. I'm hoping it plays out something like that, similar in She-Hulk, because like in Deadpool, I feel like they almost kind of always see like him doing it in the fourth wall breaks, where he's like, then they're like, who are you talking to? Like, but like, if you kind of like get a freeze frame type feel for it, I think it makes a lot more sense for She-Hulk, story-wise and dynamically.
Well, that's the thing, is Marvel, it seems like they're learning, and especially with listening to fan concerns, now this could have been in their plan book the whole time, but it seems like they're listening finally and saying, well, this is what they want. We're not going to ruin something that, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ryan Reynolds is coming back as Deadpool. He might be one of the easiest to integrate into the MCU.
You throw him in literally any time, and he's just like, oh, wow, Disney Fox deal. He can literally talk about it. Like, I don't think She-Hulk can talk about the same things that Deadpool could talk about, whereas Deadpool's like, or he, like, went back and, like, cut off, like, Green Lantern said, like, we're not going to see any of that, but I think with She-Hulk, we are going to see a lot of talking to the audience.
Like shitty Deadpool from X-Men Origins, you mean?
Yeah.
And he does joke
and he
about
saw the Green Lantern script and was like, nah.
Right. And so you can do so much, but now that he's actually in this MCU playground and gets to dip his toes in there, it's the same thing for Daredevil, except Deadpool can do that 10, 20 times amplified. He can literally joke about whatever the heck he wants to.
Unreal.
So, I'm just really looking forward to that. The possibilities are really endless with that, but going back to
speaking of possibilities, I was about to say, oh, you go first.
I'm just saying, all these characters are able to swim and play around with the MCU playground. They're going to keep the best elements, the popular elements of Daredevil that everybody loved. When he pulled up in Spider-Man No Way Home, it seemed to be that same Matt Murdock that we knew and loved, but simply in the scope. He mentioned Stark. For the first time, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, while on the screen for 2 minutes, spoke the word
Barely.
Stark, was already integrating himself into this well-established MCU. Wilson Fisk.
It's like he never missed a beat.
Right, Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye talked about an Avenger. And a lot of people said hearing Kingpin even say the word Avenger was something so new.
I never even thought about that, but that's so true.
Yeah,
like,
nobody ever said it.
Well, Kingpin's a street-level threat. Never would he be an Avenger-level threat. But yet, it's just cool to see him drag
Some would argue Spider-Man is an Avenger-level deal, but yeah. I think we'll see Spider-Man and Kingpin go toe-to-toe. I didn't think I would ever see Kingpin fighting Kate Bishop on screen. And that was something.
That was definitely something. Speaking of things like that, with like Kate Bishop and like just throwing people like that, I'm really excited to see like how these cameos are going to play off. Like, Charlie Cox has never spoken with any of the Avengers. Imagine like a conversation with like him and Bruce Banner, like in court. I mean, Wong talked to Shang-Chi right at the end of the movie. Imagine Wong has a little entrance and starts talking with Matt Murdock, getting him together for like things like this.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The possibilities are now unlimited. They're I mean, you can really go, the sky's the limit with this. They said exactly what a lot of the fans were thinking. I think director Kat Coiro said last week something along the lines of, well, they're both lawyers, Jen Walters and Matt Murdock. Why wouldn't we put them in, the same thing?
Yeah, and I never thought about that till he pointed it out. He was like, think about it, attorney at law, Matt Murdock, also a lawyer, also a crime fighter. I was like, that makes total sense. I always thought it was like a one-off thing. They're like, oh, they're really trying to rush in Daredevil or whatever. But then I was like, it makes complete sense. And I mean, it makes sense to have Bruce Banner in there. It makes sense to have Wong in there. It makes sense to have Abomination. All these things that they've slowly been setting up, we're finally actually seeing come to premonition. And I think that's what a lot of people were complaining about in the recent time MCU. And so I'm glad to finally see them answer the call and be like, hey, here's Wong, he's coming back. Here's Abomination as we throw him in
Wong
randomly in
CU
Shang-Chi.
expands.
Here's Bruce Banner, what he's been up to and what he's been doing this whole time. Like, they're really starting to get the block going again. And it's definitely good to see Bruce Banner back, too. That's, like, an enjoyable thing. Especially after Thor Love and Thunder, I'm glad to see some of the OGs still sticking around, filling in a new, more mentorish role rather than them taking it on all themselves.
What do you think about this? I mean, Darcy came back in WandaVision. She also came back for that one scene in Love and Thunder. Jane Foster came back after how many years? They both hadn't been back since The Dark World.
Yeah.
But as recent as 2021, they're all coming back. And we see, like you said, Wong continues to show up. The Wong CU expands. But Abomination...
Only a matter of time before he sees Morbius.
That is a huge... Wong and Morbius, long expected and anticipated film.
It's gonna happen. You gotta trust.
Really looking forward to that.
Morbius and Wong.
Talk about unlimited possibilities.
Genius. No, I'm kidding. But back to where we were going with this.
Well, if you look at Tim Roth, Abomination, like you said, we haven't seen him since The Incredible Hulk. Well, Shang-Chi he came back in, but Tim Roth actually gets to return this time. And we're learning so much more about him. That's what I think is really cool about She-Hulk, is that it is the definition of we're going to, it is in her character spirit to play around with the MCU and take a look at what it's to offer. People have been complaining about it. People complain about the CG. I personally think it looks a little better. Obviously, goes into a bit of that uncanny valley thing where it's like...
It's like you got all this money, you have this budget, like, why aren't you using it? We know you can do better. There are films that have done it better.
Well, my thing
why aren't you?
Why don't you just... I almost wondered why didn't they just do green makeup like they do for Gamora, and then maybe enhance her. She's taller as She-Hulk, she's obviously buffer as She-Hulk, and you have the flowy hair thing going. But it's like, couldn't you have done the Gamora deal?
Maybe, but I feel like with Gamora doesn't really transform in a certain sense. So I think with the transformation, it makes more sense to see it visually like that, which is why I think they're going with the CG route. That and they have to.
That makes sense.
It's almost like in their same rule bounds too. Like if you could say the same thing about Bruce Banner, why don't they just?
Yeah, but you're not gonna.
But you're not gonna make a
green face paint on.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Mark Ruffalo and call it a day.
It's not gonna work like that. I agree, but
it's very interesting to see though.
For sure,
Tim Roth has a newly designed Abomination, which makes sense. It's been
years.
It's been probably canonically I'm trying to think
about 20
probably
years.
15 like 15 16 years. 2008 and what's supposed to be 2024 25 at this point in the MCU. But
roughly.
But you have Mark Ruffalo's Hulk potentially interacting with Abomination for the first time, because last time we saw Abomination,
Hulk took him down.
Edward Norton.
Speaking of things like that, where is Thunderbolt Ross supposed to fall in with all this?
Well, William Hurt passed on.
Yeah,
so,
I do know that, but are they gonna recast or
that's
something
what I'm
like that?
wondering
And I mean, especially with the announcement of the Thunderbolts, Thunderbolt Ross got to be in there somewhere. But yet, with his character passing away, I'm wondering where and how they're even gonna do this.
I'm thinking if they'll do a legacy or if they're gonna do. And I thought about this. You could have him CG'd as Red Hulk the whole time, and there goes your issue. You don't have to have William Hurt if you CG General Ross the whole time.
True.
So I don't know.
I just think that it's a very interesting storyline to still explore Red Hulk-wise, because, I don't know, especially in a She-Hulk series, I see it as too much of an opportunity for them to pass up. But at the same time, maybe I'm getting my hopes up, but this is the first 10-episode series, so I really have high hopes that they're going to really flesh out a good story and try to build the world as much as they can in a series like this.
Well, it makes me wonder. I think there's a lot we haven't seen because they have been hyping up the cameos. They made like an in-universe joke about the cameos. With one of her fourth wall breaks, she talked about like Wong, Abomination, and all of them like showing up. And then we know Daredevil's coming. So, I think there's more we have not seen, obviously.
Well, I mean, we haven't even seen a direct villain yet, have we? I mean...
Well, I think Titania is supposed to be the main villain.
Technically Titania? Okay.
But... Yeah, I mean, we've just seen the parts of her, like, busting into the courtroom, and...
Yeah.
She
shoots
becomes
up.
She-Hulk in the courtroom.
It's like, hey...
Oh, I really like this outfit, right?
Hey,
so...
I didn't go to law school just to become a superhero, da-da-da. Okay.
And Mark Ruffalo's like...
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, you're a superhero.
Oh.
But I thought that was a fun one.
It's cool.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for it. I think it's something that people, obviously, were going to hate on from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot more people warm up to it. A lot of people think the CG looks better. But if you really think about it, those are most of those people are the ones who don't really want to like it. Like,
yeah.
People who
haters are gonna
actually
hate. I mean, come on.
If you're still saying, "Oh, this is awful," there's no hope, then I don't think you really wanted it to succeed in the first place.
But you know, who are we to judge? All I want to know is, what happened to Hulk's arm?
That is the big discussion.
That's currently what I've been thinking about, especially as I watch these trailers through this. Hulk seems to be back at full form strength, yet post-Endgame, he was completely fried, and even in the Shang-Chi trailer, or the Shang-Chi post-credits, not the trailer, I'm sorry.
That's what started the confusion, was the Shang-Chi post-credit scene.
I mean,
Why is he Bruce? Why is he not...
Why would he ever need to go back as Bruce? That's the question. But maybe as Bruce he can heal better than the Hulk?
The brains and the brawn.
You put them together. Think about it.
But we do...
It's like Sig, you've been hitting the gym.
Yeah, right. That's me. Getting all buff.
The brains and brawn. No, but seriously, I really don't even know where like to begin or even start on trying to figure out what happened. Are they just gonna kind of give it an old Ragnarok thing where loses an eye, but somehow there's little thing? Oh, found this eye. I'm Rocket. Here you go.
I don't know.
Boom,
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing. They seem to find a lot of very quick solutions to like in the following movie to things.
It's very like emotionally
big
big drops. Like there seems to be no stakes when it comes to our main characters, but like characters that are one off, like Quicksilver. Quicksilver is the only like MCU death in recent time that I'm still like shocked of. All the Endgame deaths were like expected and everything, but I feel like the Quicksilver death really like I was impressed that they stuck with it for as long as they did. And even bring it back in WandaVision, and then at the end of WandaVision being like, no, he's not coming back. Like, that's a bold choice by them. It's inevitable that I think he will come back once the X-Men are really introduced again, but I think at the time, it was a very bold move for the MCU to be like, hey, here are these new heroes, but one of them ain't gonna make it. And it was Quicksilver.
Well, if you're talking about that, then you gotta wonder, is Wanda coming back? I think Wanda's probably definitely gonna come back at some point.
She's gonna have to. I mean,
she's too important.
With the Coven of Chaos around the corner, too, I feel like
I don't know, though.
At the same time,
I don't know if she's gonna be in that, because that's like...
That's more
her spin-off show. I don't know if they're gonna put Wanda.
But why even throw a spin-off show if it's not gonna connect to the main, bigger, overarching thing? Then again, Moon Knight, things like that.
Well,
that's
Moon
true.
Knight was his story. I mean, who are you going to put in there? People thought Hulk was going to be in there because Mark Ruffalo was like around the area of the set. But
and it's like, oh, Moon Knight was great though. Very impressed. There was no announcement of Moon Knight season 2 from San Diego Comic-Con, which I find very interesting.
That is still in question. That's been in limbo.
That is in limbo. It seems, and I would really like a Moon Knight season 2 personally, but
I think it could happen unless they just fast track him into a different show, a team-up show, or a team-up movie.
Then we could see some more Jake Lockley action. That'd be interesting.
Perhaps. So that is an interesting question because it's been back and forth. They've teased things about it with director Mohamed Diab and Oscar Isaac. They've all been kind of throwing it around. A lot of people... I mean, it's really something that I don't have any doubt will happen. For example, Ant-Man 3, people were really doubtful of that not happening. And boom, Quantumania seems like it's going to be the biggest most impactful Ant-Man film, not just an Ant-Man movie, like a very important MCU movie. So,
especially if you've seen some of the trailer leaks, they are not playing this as a comedy Ant-Man film like they usually would. I think it's
gonna have that, but it's also
really
gonna be like, holy shit, Kang is here.
Yeah, like he's turning it on, and it's gonna be Ant-Man to be the one to be like, oh, crap, guys, we got some issues on our hands.
Have I killed you before?
Have I killed you? Oh, an Avenger. Tell me. Have I killed you before?
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
You will.
Martha! I really love that part from Endgame.
Martha! Why did you say that name? No, but another interesting... While we're on the Quantumania topic, hate to be that guy, but what are your thoughts on the Cassie Lang recast?
The Cassie Lang recast is something that... I'm a little confused on why they even brought it. It's like they didn't have all their cards in place when Endgame was around, because there had been rumors of Emma Fuhrmann getting cast as Cassie Lang for a very long time. We thought, okay, so we're going to be doing a time jump. It was established, a lot of those pieces were put together, and it was pretty much decided that, yeah, Emma Fuhrmann is going to be playing this older version of Cassie Lang. And then it comes around to Quantumania time, and Catherine Newton's cast. And
you're like,
It was interesting, too, because Emma Fuhrmann even posted something about that, like almost like how heartbroken she was, and like she was like, I'm just as confused as you guys, I think, if I recall that correctly.
Interesting.
So
she's not...
I'm wondering if she got ghosted by Marvel. You know, it's just something that... It's like maybe they didn't have faith in her, because Cassie had like maybe one line. She was in the scene where
Dad?
she like literally Dad, right?
Yeah.
And Scott rolled up to the house and she was there, and then they had that shot at the end where they were all looking around.
Yep.
So I'm really thinking it was they wanted a bigger name actress for Cassie, because if anything, that just indicates to me that she's going to be in multiple films. And it's interesting because they do pull a lot of newcomers into the mix.
Like, what's it? Who's the actor for Kamala Khan?
Iman Vellani.
Yes. She's very young. That's her first acting role ever.
Also, Echo, Alakwa Cox. Her
Yes.
first role. If you look on IMDb, it is like... That's it. That's Echo.
That's all she got, yeah.
Now she has her own TV show.
Like, that's crazy.
She got the Marvel Studios fast track. Very fast.
We had some people, such as Oscar Isaac, straight to the spotlight from Star Wars, just gets to hop on a project like that. And even Christian Bale. They really pick and choose where like they want. So that's why I was confused why they really recast Cassie. Because they could have gone either route.
Yeah, it makes me wonder that maybe they just didn't have...
The faith?
That multi-picture... Vision for Emma Fuhrmann. I just don't know. Because she will be playing Stature. She will be suiting up as Stature in this one. So.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Have you seen the poster?
No, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, so the Quantumania.
Let me look at Quantumania poster.
Yeah. It's got Kang. It's got Ant-Man The Wasp and Stature.
Let me see Quantumania poster.
Pull up the right one.
This one?
No, that is fake.
Dang.
Gotta show you.
Good to see Hank Pym back, though. I was thinking about that.
Well, he is back, but that is not a real poster.
Nope.
Here it is. It is all of them together, see?
This one.
Yes, and look in the... What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is the full one.
Yeah.
It looks like Ant-Man's got a very interestingly new designed suit, which is awesome.
Interesting what design?
Like a newly designed suit, and Wasp as well, but...
Yeah. Guess Hank Pym's really been...
Looks like there's some kind of chest thing, too.
I was noticing that, too. I was like, can he just, like, go big on command now?
Maybe he, like, does this, like... I don't know.
Ant-Man, Wasp, and then, what's the name again?
Stature.
And
then in the background...
The Conqueror.
Somebody's building a dynasty. Yeah, but... Very interesting stuff. Yeah, I do think it was interesting that they decided to recast. I really think it was that multi-picture idea. But
that's fair. But only time will tell.
Absolutely. Only time will tell. Just like the outcome for She-Hulk, which is very rapidly making its way to Disney Plus in a little under
11 days.
2 weeks. Yeah,
11 days. My birthday is the release date.
Correct. It was going to be August 17th. They moved it to the 18th.
Why did they move it to Thursdays?
I don't know. But I'm planning on doing reactions. I recorded full reactions to all the Moon Knight episodes, and then I never edited them. So I have all of those on my camera. I never did anything with all those. It's just bad, bad quality. It's just... And then I didn't do anything with Ms. Marvel or... I'm trying to think what else I didn't do. But I've only reacted to Hawkeye. And I do want to end up reacting to the She-Hulk episodes, especially knowing Daredevil's going to be in it. I want to have my honest reaction to that. Yeah, because I knew, for example, I started doing Hawkeye reactions because I knew Fisk was going to be in it. It was so highly speculated that Fisk was going to be in it.
Incredibly
and then
speculated.
you get...
And naturally, boom. You didn't do Moon Knight reactions.
That's what I just said.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I have it all recorded.
Sorry.
But I never... Maybe the archived footage, if you guys actually really wanted to see it so bad, maybe I'll edit it up one day.
Maybe you'll figure it out from the vault.
But at school, it was just something...
Hey, you didn't film an 11 Thunder reaction.
Oh, my bad. Let me go voice memo.
Pirates the entire movie.
I thought of doing voice reactions, but a lot of the theaters I was in just weren't very promising.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But I am looking forward to hopefully reacting to She-Hulk. Because it seems like there really is going to be a new surprise at every turn with the 9-episode format. And I do believe they're only doing one episode, really, because sometimes we release 2 episodes at a time. I think that this is a 1-episode release a week. And that has me wondering, since Daredevil Born Again is going to be double that amount of episodes, are they going to do the Netflix drop where it was the entire season at once?
That's what I'm wondering.
Or I'm thinking, there's no way that you can do an 18-episode run with a week-to-week format. I don't know.
Unless they do 2 episodes per week.
Which
would be very interesting and very, very fun.
I'm just excited that we get to spend more time. Maybe that means shorter episodes. Maybe that means... I don't know. I just want well-written Daredevil. And I want my actors back. I want Foggy. I want Karen. And I want Punisher. Speaking of Punisher. Segue into a little bit of a new topic.
I would say, isn't this a rumor?
Yeah, so everybody's been wondering, since Daredevil and Kingpin hit the screens, when are the rest of the Defenders characters appearing? There's been a lot of teases by a lot of actors, and Jessica Jones is highly rumored to be returning in Echo. It's this character that, Matt Murdock is apparently on the search for an old friend, which is said to be Jessica Jones in Echo. So I don't know if they're going to do that. It seems, I don't know, a lot of the strong rumors have come true. The Daredevil and No Way Home rumor
played out quite nicely.
It was a big rumor for probably almost a year before the release of that movie. But everybody's saying, is Luke Cage going to come back, Iron Fist? And arguably the biggest one besides Daredevil is the Punisher. Are we going to see the Punisher again? Rosario Dawson, who a lot of you Netflix watchers may know as Claire Temple, a.k.a. the Marvel, I guess you could say, sort of MCU equivalent to Night Nurse in the comics. She popped up in a lot of those shows, and the only show she didn't pop up in was Punisher. And
smooth.
It was interesting because she was at a panel today, actually, as we're filming this, and
that'd be August 8th.
I will bring up this quote. She said, quote, "I hadn't heard that announcement." She was talking about some sort of series returning, but she said, quote, "But I found out yesterday that the Punisher was happening again, so I feel like it's my second chance, because that's the only one of the shows I wasn't in, and I love Jon Bernthal, so let's all make it happen collectively, guys.
Interesting.
If Rosario Dawson, who is highly connected to Disney Plus and I guess just Disney in general right now with being Ahsoka, it makes sense for her to know about this, and the fact that she just said this, she could have either read this off of another one of the, spam rumor pages, because there are plenty of rumors and unconfirmed things that get posted all over social media. Obviously, it's very easy that it's very possible that she just could have seen that and gone with it. But considering that she just went out and was like, yeah, so I just found out yesterday the Punisher is happening again, that could very well be true. It's already been rumored that he's going to pull up in Born Again. I think he very well could. I think he should, and I think he will, honestly.
I hope he will.
If not in Born Again, then in something else. But it seems like they have a very good way of bringing in these characters. For example, like I said earlier, No Way Home, Daredevil just pops right in.
Very easy, very casually,
Hawkeye,
and very
Kingpin pops right in. These Netflix characters we know and love have jumped into a new lens under the MCU playground, right? And so we use already established MCU characters to bring in the Netflix ones. So it would make sense for the Punisher to return with the Daredevil show.
True.
But that's all speculation. We cannot confirm nor deny, but I really do think we're going to see Jon Bernthal's Punisher.
Which would be great to see. That'll be very cool.
You have not seen that show.
No, which is why I'm excited to see. I really need to catch up on my watching, I'll admit.
Marvel Netflix-wise,
it's very hard.
Tyler has to catch up on a lot of things. I said first you got to watch Daredevil. And then I guess for that you kind of got to watch Defenders, but if you really want to get into the Disney,
well, see, this is why I think when I think they introduce Daredevil into the MCU, they'll have references to his show and everything, but I don't think you'll need to watch the entire show in order to keep up with this character. However, I will still be watching the show, and I promise you that.
Born Again. No, I think I'll be requiring you to watch that show, actually.
Well, you really are confident in that?
Trying to. I'm requiring you to watch the original Daredevil series.
No. You're saying that you really think it's going to be a requirement. You're confident.
No, for you.
Oh.
I'm saying I'm going to require you to watch the original Daredevil show.
Fine by me.
We have 2 years. It is not...
There is no rush.
It is not premiering. And God forbid it gets delayed. Fingers crossed, because everything in the MCU is
Lord have mercy on us.
Subject to delaying.
Seriously.
But, if anything, bring me Daredevil ASAP. What the cool thing is, hey, Feige says, we're going to give you 18 episodes of Daredevil. The longest season of Daredevil that you've seen ever. But, before then, you're going to see him in Spider-Man. You're going to see him in She-Hulk. You're going to see him in Echo.
He's going to be a player. But
and
he's not going to be
Spider-Man freshman year, but... That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Which may be something worth discussion. We were talking about this a little earlier.
Yeah, we were dabbling into it earlier, as I'm a very big Spider-Man fan, and so is Sig, but it's a matter of, do we think that Spider-Man freshman year will be canon in the MCU? And yes and no. I think that it will be somehow intertwined in the MCU and have certain elements in the MCU combined, but I don't think that it's by any means the actual Peter Parker origin story. I think we've already gotten that story. I think they've given us that story. I think that's all they're going to give us for that when it comes to our Peter Parker in terms of the MCU timeline. Spider-Man freshman year is more of like a what-if situation scenario, but you can't make a million episodes of what-if, but they do know that Spider-Man's their hottest topic, and this is the best way to give a good Spider-Man story without having to get Tom Holland involved.
I think that the answer is very obvious, no matter what anybody working on those shows wants to say. Because anytime they say, oh, it's canon, they say, they use the words very interestingly. Oh, this is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but, it is pre-Civil War, it is, all of these things, but I think I think it wrote itself as non-canon once you say, oh, here's this picture of Norman Osborn. Well, okay. in the rules you set up in No Way Home, there was no Osborn family.
No Oscorp.
There was no Oscorp. There was no Otto Octavius because Peter Parker didn't recognize him. I think it's as simple as that. This is clearly a different universe. I think that people get confused because they ask and they're like, oh yes, it is in the Marvel Universe. There's no doubt it's in the Marvel Universe. I think it is in the Marvel Multiverse, but it is not in this 616
even that
MCU, the
MCU
main
universe.
timeline that we've been used to. But now, obviously, anything is possible in the multiverse. Seriously, if you're doing an animated show, this seems like a prolonged what if,
That's
a Spider-Man focused what if.
Come on.
I think that's what it is. Just because you have this whole slew of villains, you have
a whole roster.
Norman, you have
so many
Harry.
characters and so many big people that are involved in Spider-Man stories that you cannot throw into any other type of situation. Like you've
Black
never
Suit
seen
Daredevil.
Harry Osborn, Black Suit Daredevil, Doctor Strange in his old robes. I mean, the animation style. I'm thinking this is gonna be.
Oh yeah, okay, that's another thing. Doctor Strange is there, but if you're saying this is pre-Civil War, then
That's
I don't think Doctor Strange was that Doctor Strange yet. And he was super, they're both super, old-timey comic accurate. Like, if you look at Peter Parker, his animation is, it just screams, 60s Peter Parker. And Doctor
Which leads me to my...
70s,
So you see my questioning connection. Is this going to fall in line with the X-Men 97 run?
Well,
because, it's very similar animation style and very old-fashioned timing like that. I mean, if you saw the Doc Ock style, that's that OG yellow-green Doc Ock suit. They're really hammering in the old and not even trying it.
It's animated. Why wouldn't you, right? They're just having fun.
Yeah, they have nothing to lose, nothing to gain.
And they already have the confirmed sophomore year, which is interesting.
Yeah, really impressive that they decided to go ahead and do that. But with the Spider-Man project in the MCU, I have very high doubts that it would ever flop in any way, shape, or form. Even the Amazing Spider-Man 2 ended up being a success to a certain extent, but despite their critical appeal.
You're saying Amazing Spider-Man 2?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, absolutely. Okay. Spider-Man 2 is...
Well, yeah, everybody
loves that movie. That movie's the best one.
Everybody loves that one.
Classic.
But I was actually just watching that the other day.
Really?
The train scene, yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah, the train scene.
Great one.
So old.
I know, it's crazy how
did it age well?
They are. I think it did.
I think
for the
especially
time
the wall fight. The wall fight still looks pretty good for MCU standard dates.
I love it
with the CG. Well, come on.
It's just fun, right? It's fun.
I do agree with that. Some people are really trying to play into the logic sometimes. Other times, I'll admit, I'm a fan where I'm like, it's a comic book movie, whatever.
Oh no, doesn't have cheesy thing happens in comic book movie. Have you ever read a Marvel comic? It is nothing but cheese.
The hero gets the girl. Never would I see that coming.
Dripping cheese, okay?
Nacho cheese.
But I do think it's going to be a fun series. The fact that Charlie Cox gets to return and voice Daredevil now is so fun. The minute he came back, he was Kevin Feige was like,
I need you.
And you get a cameo in this. Oh, we're going to need you in this. Perfect. I will take as much Daredevil as I can get. Right.
For real.
So, that's something I'm looking forward to. I just think that it's very obviously not in the main MCU.
And who knows, maybe we'll see Daredevil in a more mentorship role with a lot of the Young Avengers still coming into fruition. And they've yet to announce any type of Young Avengers movie.
Well, that's one thing.
Not that they need to specifically say Young Avengers, but it seems like they were building up a younger team, so I don't know.
You have this whole thing. People have been posting a lot of different things on Twitter. I'm on Twitter way too much. And I saw somebody put up, oh, I got a problem. Okay, if I got a problem, then half the world's got a problem. They put something out, and it was, or somebody did, and it was this long picture with a comic book version of, a young Avenger, and then the actor that has come in and played him. You have Billy and Tommy, Wiccan and Speed, Artie in WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop's around. You have...
America Chavez.
America Chavez is now in here. You got
Peter Parker. Spider-Man. He's got to be in a Young Avengers roster to a certain degree. Maybe even him being a leader, but he's still technically young, about probably Kate Bishop's age.
We have Ironheart about to come in.
Ironheart. Forgot about Ironheart.
These are all the predecessors.
And Cassie Lang coming in.
Yeah. The new kids on the block.
Antecedents.
Yes, it is I think it's...
And even She-Hulk could maybe fall in that category, but She-Hulk's a little bit older.
I don't even know if they'll call it Young Avengers.
It's just their Avengers that are young.
Because
why would
a lot of people don't think that they'll put them in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. I think it's pretty darn obvious that we're going to see a lot of those young Avengers in those movies.
I mean, we'll see a lot of older deaths.
It might even set them up. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, She-Hulk, you're telling me Bruce Banner's still going to be around a long time? Thor, maybe?
Well, no. He's Bruce Banner's definitely, in my opinion, not... He's completely safe in the She-Hulk series.
Oh, the She-Hulk series, sure, but I'm saying in the Avengers movies...
Perhaps, but it seems
maybe
like they have grandfather roles on it. Like Thor obviously just had his outing. They still have, rumors of... People still talk about a rumored World War Hulk movie, and that's a whole thing. I don't even know if you could do a movie still because of the whole Universal Studios thing. Universal technically kind of still has a hold on the whole character.
Yeah, I did know that, actually. I was reading on that earlier the other day. Yeah, you can't really do a solo movie. You'd have to do, like, Avengers World War Hulk.
Not She-Hulk, though.
World War She-Hulk.
Yeah, it's
that
weird.
Could be an interesting... I've never thought about that.
What?
That could be an interesting twist to do World War She-Hulk, where,
in
fact, She-Hulk loses her temper and does that.
I don't
but at the same time, I don't think so.
They did
throw in the Illuminati. Very casually.
But I'm saying it's within the spirit of her character not to go down a completely dramatic rabbit hole type thing.
True.
It seems like they're going for a lighthearted, campy type deal, and that's fine.
It's whatever. She loves Mexico.
What's that?
She loves Mexico.
Was that a line?
No, on her shirt it says, I heart Mexico.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Easter egg. Good job, Tyler.
Fun fact, she's actually from Mexico.
I don't know if that's true.
Nope, that's not true at all.
This guy don't read comics.
Can't say I read the comics. I keep up. My uncle tells me about a lot of the comics and stuff.
There you go.
Other than that... I'm not an avid reader, I'll admit. I'm as the co-host. He's the reason he's the host.
I'm actually trying to actively, as I embark on this new podcast journey, trying to kind of get myself in the know with comics. So I've been trying to read more Daredevil stuff, see what I want to...
Witness.
I want to create expectations for myself, and I didn't really know what else was going to be in store. Once I thought, well, they're going to bring a lot more Daredevil storylines and villains and all this kind of stuff into the mix. What didn't we see in the Netflix show? So I was interested. I started going with the comics, and then I was like, okay, She-Hulk's coming up. Let me see, like, her origin. So I saw, like, her origin one, and I started reading a few things here and there. It's just the Marvel Unlimited app I've been using a lot, but I don't know. I have a lot of fun with that. I think, like, when I'm laying in bed, just swipe through, like, the
usual
app version of comic book. I just think it's fun, but I'm trying to educate myself more on that, so I don't sound like a complete doofus on here, and two, so that I can actually get in the know on some of these things. But we'll have many more conversations to be had. This is surely the beginning of something good. This is probably a bit of a crash course. This is a rough cut. The thing about podcasts is that, you know, it's a very rough cut. It's an ongoing conversation, and I always said to myself, we'll see where it turns out. Ty's like, you know, I've been trying to get Ty in. He was so busy doing stuff. I was like,
we've been all over the place all summer. It's really been hard for us to finally sit down and like get something running.
He was like, why can't you just do the episode on your own? I was like, I can't do this by myself. Right? A podcast is a conversation.
Yeah.
I need somebody at my side. So we're gonna get a lot of other people around the wheel, and maybe we'll get a certain. I'm going off to college, and who lives in that area? A certain ZN Films, or maybe the artist formerly known as him. I don't know. We will see. But
either way,
we're gonna see how this goes.
Honored to have been here for the first run. Honestly, thank you for having me, Will.
Of course.
10 out of 10 would do it again if we get the chance. Maybe winter break we'll pop another one. Who knows?
I think Tyler's gonna hop in the guest chair a lot more frequently. But this might be, for those of you that are actually watching this on YouTube, this might be one of the last times you'll see me. Actually, I know it's just starting.
Face to face.
Well, I'm saying in this area, because I'm going to be off in my apartment. I'm going to have to learn how to do this podcast in an apartment setting. So that's really interesting. I'm so glad that I just hooked all this up just to move it all the way to the apartment. That's okay, though.
Are you taking all this to the apartment?
I have to. I want to keep this going.
Please do. That'd be fire.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Let's do it. All right.
We're going to make it happen. And this is a crash course. Like I said, I want you guys to comment below, respond to me, tweet to me.
Tell us what we missed. See what we need to know.
Yes.
Like,
Give me
seriously,
pointers.
this was a very brief run for me, brief run for him. I'm sure there's a million things you guys want to hear us discuss and talk about. We kind of jumped all over the place unintentionally, but at the same time, I think that's what we were going for. So I really have no complaints. We started with one thing and we went to the next.
Right. And I think I will be excited to get into the more segmented parts of things. I think that's when it's going to start coming into play more, is when we have things that we can answer that you guys want to hear answered. That's when we can kind of say, hey, let's go into this topic. All right, cool. Let's leave it at that. Let's go to the next one. That is my dream for this. That's my hope. I just wanted to get on here and talk Marvel again. So I'm glad to finally be bringing back the Marvel Mingle in a podcast format.
Dream come true. Dream come true.
And now I'm going to have a lot of fun trying to edit this for hours and hours. Super excited.
Glad I don't have to.
If you are listening to this right now, you have successfully made it to the end of the first Marvel Mingle podcast. All I can say for you is thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure to share this, talk about it with your friends. Please, like I said, let me know if I messed up.
Let us know if you want to see any switch-ups.
Don't be a stranger.
Don't be scared. Show us some criticism. Show us some love. Show us some hate. Show us something we want to know.
There's one thing, at the end of the day, I can assume you're here because we all love the MCU and speculating about it and talk about it. Speculate. Let's get a conversation going down below in the comments. Tweet me about it.
At Woody on CP.
At Woody on CP Films, actually, is my Twitter. At Woody on IG is my Instagram. And
I don't have any of those.
Hopefully you're here on my YouTube on Woody on CP. So, this is me signing off. Tyler and I, any last words?
Thank you so much for having me, Will. Really, again, a pleasure. Would do it again in a heartbeat. Call me up when the time comes. And you know what they say.
Do you remember the outro?
Oh, come on. Remember. It's all connected, baby. We'll catch you in the next one.